Welcome to Too Stupid for Web3, the show that makes sure you don't end up like me, too stupid to win. Each week, I bring on sharp minds from across Web3, with the exception of this week, to break things down in a way that actually makes sense, whether you're just getting started or already been in this game for a while. We've got you covered with crypto news, Web3 insights, Upland updates, and straight up real talk. Make sure that you subscribe, you'll learn something, and maybe even end up a little smarter than me by the end of the show. And honestly, it's not that hard. A lot of stuff to talk about this week. We have some news in the crypto realm, some updates from last week. It didn't take long for those updates to roll in, so we'll definitely cover that. And then Upland released their residents, but they're running behind the scenes, so we'll jump in, talk about that, more service structures, and more giveaways, more UpX giveaways in Upland, and some more map assets there for staking on the property. Plus, a bunch of meetups are going on and on and on. So definitely talk about that all and get this jam-packed into an hour and get you guys out of here. I do miss, it's football season now. So last 5 years, I could turn on Thursday Night Football while the show was going on, and I'd set Thank Me Later up for something, and he'd just go off on a rant, and I could watch the game for a bit while he ran, and I just sit here and nod my head like I was paying attention to his rant, but I was more paying attention to the game. Nowadays, I don't have somebody to set up like that, and I don't have the ability to watch the game while somebody just ran. So I am a little sad about that. Busy week with the drafts, all the fantasy football drafts going on. I was trying to load up the Upland Fantasy League. What is going on there? I was trying to get that running so I could update everybody of what this looks like this year. But Sleeper is being a pain with me right now. I'll figure that one out later. No worries. But yes, the Upland Fantasy League is in its 5th year. Bunch of new players this year. Excited. Last year we had an absentee owner or two, so it's nice to have a full league again. Wolf Warner had his draft for his high roller league, and man, that was insane. That was a 16 team draft. I've never done a 16 team, and man, it was just tough. It got scarce pretty quickly with the players that you got to choose from. So had very fun doing all the drafts. So that led me to not being able to reach out to people this week to come join the show. So that's all right. We'll get through this anyway. Yeah. Where to start? Still some people filtering in. I didn't get everything loaded up. Where's the other important piece for the show? It's right there. Okay, we should be good. All right. Yes, we are good now. We'll jump right into the wrong page because it's easy to do. Too many tabs open. I need to convince my wife I need more computer screens here. It would work a lot better. But anyway, getting into the crypto news this week, and that's tough, being able to have a sip of the whiskey while my guest talks. Ooh, I do have a guest. Let me message. They can help me drink whiskey. So we'll check back in on the Trump crypto saga. Why? Because it's entertaining. Why? Because things just keep getting crazier and it keeps evolving. Last week, we talked about Eric Trump launching his own meme coin, Trump, alongside a big crypto infrastructure play called the World Liberty Financial. We also hit on Trump's media partnership with Crypto.com through the SPAC ticker MCGA, Make Crypto Great Again. Both stories had a mix of innovation, speculation, and pure political theater. Well, guess what? The sequel just dropped this week, and it's just as wild. First headline is the American Bitcoin trading company debut halted on day one multiple times. So Trump's American Bitcoin exchange, supposed to make its big debut this week. It was a mainstream step. Yeah, it got halted almost immediately after launching because you guessed it, extreme volatility. So the stock markets are set up that if it reaches certain thresholds, they stop the trading to get the price under control, and then it shuts it down usually for about 10 minutes. Um, mm, um, Shuts it down after 10 minutes, and hold on, trying to get a link out. Mm, yeah, crap. That's all right. Anyway, they shut down the exchange after 10 minutes, and not the exchange, but the trading of the stock for 10 minutes, and then they go back on. Well, it tripped 3 times. It was massive swings. It rallied 85%, went up to $14.80. So it does show that there is real demand for an interest right out of the gate for the launch of the stock. Now, and people were lined up to trade it. Now, the bad is if you're serious, is exchanges can't make it through a day without a timeout. You saw it a lot in the meme coin, not the meme coin, but the meme stocks with GameStop, AMC, stuff like that back 4 or 5 years ago. And it still happens from time to time with some stocks. But yeah, what we're going to watch is, can they stabilize this thing, or does it turn into another meme filled headline factory that scares off anyone that's not already in the crypto rabbit hole? So we'll see how that turns out there. And then the next one, like that wasn't enough. Like that wasn't enough. Eric Trump's World Liberty Financial just announced a token burn. Because why? Prices were tanking. Usually token burning is supposed to shrink the supply and you see your prices push up, and well, that's not what happened here with WLFI token. It dropped hard right after the announcement. At least they're trying to use one of crypto's old tricks to support the price, showing that they pay attention. But the bad is the markets didn't care. They burned tokens and the price still tanks. That's a confidence problem. So what I'm going to be watching for is this project just running on hype, or can they actually deliver some value beyond a headline about a token burn, and are they able to stabilize this token's price? And it's always nice to be able to count on streaming partners where you can reach out on short notice and be like, hey, can you join me tonight? So once again, everyone, welcome back the one and only Lightning Leg.
How's it going, everybody? Great to be on. I'm super excited.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks for making that happen.
No worries. I just saw the message and I was like, I gotta join Too Stupid to Win. You got your whiskey, I got my shot. Let's go.
Let's get it. Let's get it.
Go.
Yeah. No, I was like, as I was saying on the intro, it was just busy with the kids' activities and fantasy football drafts this week. So it was all of a sudden I was like, man, it's Thursday. I didn't line anything up, and we were out of town for the Labor Day weekend. So it was just a busy week. It happens. Life happens.
Oh, that's for sure. That is for sure. We just finished off the X space, so learned a lot, and we're delving into the Web3 space. And when I saw your messages, I was like, okay, we gotta jump on. I literally just finished it like 5 minutes ago, but I was like, I saw your message, and I'm like, we gotta jump on again. Let's go, baby.
I love it. I love it. So I was running through the follow-ups from last week. I covered stuff about Trump and crypto and all that stuff, and sure enough, they were back for round 2 this week. So I'm hitting the third headline right now. So the third headline is that they're pitching a buyback and burn program. So not only was the WLFI, the World Liberty Financial token, not only did they do a burn program, but they're offering a buyback program. So it's not only They're not only burning the supply, they're also floating a plan to use transaction fees to buy back their own tokens and then burn it themselves. So if people aren't going to burn it, they'll burn it for the people, and they're just trying to get the price back up. So it's a creative mechanism. I'm not sure if I've seen something like that yet in the space. Have you seen that yet in the token space?
Yeah. So I was actually in the meme coin space, and I was actually on a couple spaces where they were actually burning in real time to manipulate the meme coin token prices. So it is definitely there, and it's definitely a mechanism that people can use if they want to build up their meme coin to burn and adjust the prices. So it's definitely a mechanism for um, to
So you've
use to their advantage.
so you've seen the issuer of the meme coin burn their own meme coin.
Mhm.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not the biggest into the meme coin space. So you see, that's great. You come on and right away you're adding value right out of the gate. I love it.
Yeah, it was crazy to see. I was like, "Is this really happening?" And it's like, "Yeah, it's really happening. People are burning their meme coins as people are building the value up, and they're burning the value to drop it to create more value because they're all calculating it behind the scenes."
Yeah.
So, yeah, it opened my mind for sure on the
Well,
meme coin space.
yeah. And the bad to it is buybacks and burns only work if you got a steady stream of demand and trust. And without that, it just looks like financial engineering, rug pulls, gimmicky to keep insiders happy. And what we'll continue to watch for is, will it actually attract real users to World Liberty Financial, or is it just a tool to prop up early investors?
Yeah. So, I look at it as, I always like to work backwards. And, this is why I don't, look at any other meme coins and invest. I like to work, the opposite side and work backwards from something that's building utility and, you know, where I can see the value later on. But yeah, these meme coins, just based on a couple of those X spaces and the the information, I was listening. I don't know if they know I was listening, but I was listening, and they were like, okay, let's burn a certain amount of this meme coin, and then we'll be at a certain amount. So it definitely opened my eyes to the meme coin market. It's all manipulated, to be honest with you, and I'm not really for that because people are putting real value into this. People are putting real money into this. So I'm not really about that. I like to work the opposite way. But yeah, man, lots of learning.
I can imagine. And like last week, I said this whole Trump crypto story was part innovation, part spectacle, part political flair. And this week, I think it's the same verdict, just with more fireworks. So,
Mhm.
we got exchange halts, token burns, buybacks. The needle didn't move, and they're just trying to keep the lights on in some people's eyes. So, if you're watching from the sidelines, I treat this like a reality show with financial stakes. Could it turn into something real? Maybe. But right now, it's much politics and headlines as it is about blockchain tech.
So this is where I draw the line between a fiat currency and a cryptocurrency, because you know we will come into the manipulation of the fiat currency no matter what. We will have the we'll we'll have the companies, we'll have the government, we'll have everybody manipulated it. But when we jump into the crypto space, at least we have a little bit more control. A
Unless you're in
little
the
bit.
meme coin. I mean, I saw early on in NBA Top Shot, there were groups that were pumping up prices of the moments just to, all right, everybody, let's buy a bunch of these right now. We're gonna pump it to here. And if you were one of the last ones in, you were holding the bag with an overpriced moment that, yeah, it was wild. So I was like, man, this and everybody's like excited. I'm like, you're letting people hold it. Like they took something creative from sports cards collecting and just turned it into manipulation of the market.
Yeah. But this is where I love, like, Web3 games and whatnot, because, those rich people, They don't want to play games. They want to make money. Whereas we're trying to build value within the space. So, it's crazy to see, actually, it's not crazy to see. It's awesome to see the growth that's being built with some of these accounts, and even on Tuesday we were talking about everybody has an equal opportunity because we're all given the same amount of information at the same time. So this is what I love about the Web3 crypto space, because we're all given an opportunity, and it's amazing to see. And truly, like, I just got off in a got off on a conversation with X, where you can build a meme coin in 2 minutes
Really?
in some certain DeFi platforms. So think about that when you're investing into a meme coin. Has it been built in 2 minutes?
Let's launch some too stupid meme coin. Like, it got the poo
I know.
token going on. Like, hell yeah, let's get rolling.
And I've actually, I looked into building my own coin as well, and it seems pretty easy. I haven't done it, but the parameters do seem pretty easy. And think about that when you're putting money into a meme coin as well. So, um, 2 minutes, I can see that, but at the same time, there is no backing, is no utility. So, you definitely got to watch where you're putting your money as well. So, I definitely love the projects that I'm in, and you know, I definitely see the progression and what they're building, because I don't got that ability, and many people don't have that ability, and they don't got the marketing ability or advertising ability to be able to do what they're doing as well. So
Oh yeah, just it's interesting. The more that you dive into marketing and the space and everything, it's amazing when you see, like, I love Chance the Rapper. He just launched a new CD or new album. What he launched a new album, and it was just kind of fun. Like, he had his people, his fans, and he incentivized his fans to post, hey, tell me about my new album, and then he'd retweet it, and it, like, you could tell, like, to the average person, they're like, oh cool, look, all these people are talking about Chance's new album, and look, and they're like, that's super cool, Chance is retweeting them. But he's smart on the marketing standpoint, and he's got a good engagement with his fans to be able to do something like that to continue to get the turn on X of being relevant for the last week.
yeah, so the community aspect. So we talk about Upland, and even I do talk about My Neighbor Alice, because that is the second Web3 game that I'm into, because of the transparency that they're coming in with. Like, they just had, like, open mic this morning at 5 a.m., and I listened to that. So I'm investing in people. I'm focused on the people. I'm focused on the emotion that they give to me. I just hosted an X space, but at the same time, I can't see. I love to see what they're feeling. I can see what they're feeling. As I look at you, I can see what you're feeling. I can see the passion. Whereas if I'm in a space, I can't see that. So,
Right.
that gives me motivation. That gives me aspiration to jump into these spaces, and jump onto your YouTube channel, and jump on here. And you know I see great things with projects that show themselves, with projects that are transparent. And you had that game that was, what, 3 weeks ago, and it crashed. And
Yeah.
it's super important. So it's so important to have that community aspect to jump on. If you're a creator, or if you're a founder, or if you're a community manager, you have to jump on, because people aren't going to trust you, especially in this Web3 gaming space. So we looked at the Play to Earn website. How many projects were on there? um Man,
Was that
there was hundreds. And
which one of them just shut? One of the, was it Play to Earn that shut down in July, or was that one? There was one of the ones that cover Web3 gaming, and they stopped their service in July. I can't think of which
Oh,
site that was.
it wasn't
Um,
play to earn because I just
okay.
did that one 2 or 3 weeks ago. So
Okay. Okay.
so but you can see that it is hard for the regular population to jump into Web3 gaming and trust.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So um
But I do caution though, as much as you're saying you're investing in people and how they make you feel, some of the biggest scam artists in history made you feel great and made you believe in what they were doing too. So it's a fine balance, but that just might
yeah.
be the Gen X in me coming out, being skeptical of everything. I'm not sure.
No, definitely a great point because that is definitely true. Scammers are trained to do that as well. Um, and then you got to take a step back and see
The
like
good
projects like
scammers, because we know there's a lot of bad scammer. You're like, this is a
yeah.
scam, but the good ones have learned how to manipulate people. I didn't mean to cut you off, but yeah,
Oh yeah, no worries. Yeah, but we have so I've only I'm looking for a third. Sunflower Land came close to breaking that mold, but I've only jumped into two, which is Upland, obviously first of all, into My Neighbor Alice. Sunflower Land came close. If the founders or the community managers came out a little bit more, I would have jumped into that one, but they definitely didn't they definitely didn't break the mold as to for me jumping in. So yeah, we're definitely looking for that transparency. um I don't see it in very in many other Web3 gaming spaces, but I just jumped on. I don't I wasn't sure what direction you were going with this
yeah.
episode, but
No, yeah, I appreciate, because if you would have saw it earlier, I would have sent you the material so you could have reviewed it. But I do appreciate you're doing a great job of just picking up, and we're working well together on this. And you know, speaking of, we're talking about things that sound kind of like the Wild Wild West,
yeah.
and regulators sooner or later will be watching the circus. But newer news is the Commodity Futures Trading Commission just weighed in on something completely different: prediction markets. I know there's a lot of degens out here in Web3 and in Upland that love to bet on everything, or do spot market and stuff like that. The CFTC gave Polymarket, and if you're not familiar with Polymarket, they let you bet on everything, or they let you trade on real world events, elections, sports, econ numbers, weird cultural stuff. It's like a betting market with blockchain plumbing, is the way I've heard it described. So the CFTC gave Polymarket and QCEX, they call them a no action letter. So they basically, government speak says, we see what you're doing and we're not shutting you down right now. It doesn't say what you're doing is cool. It just and legal. It just says, eh, keep doing what you're doing. The decision's still kind of out. The good news is it gives prediction markets room to breathe. They've been in a gray zone forever. Some countries don't allow it. But now it looks like there's a little bit of tolerance. And, crypto used to be in that space. And, if you believe in crypto as a tool for better price discovery, the idea is that markets can reveal what people really think will happen. And this is a step forward. So the bad, as I said, it's a no action letter. So it's not a legal green light. It's like the landlord telling you, I won't raise your rent this year. So that's something we'll keep on watching for. Is this a temporary no action, or does the CFTC take action later on? And how far does Polymarket push it? And if you follow them on Instagram or TikTok, their videos are awesome for the betting market. So it's fun. So, and does it open the door for the big boys of Wall Street to jump in? Because once the regulators show that they're open, the traditional exchanges want to get in where they can make money too.
Yeah. The question is how much, I guess. And you know, I feel like I'm chasing in the crypto market, in the Web3 gaming market. I feel like I'm always trying to stay ahead of what's to come. You know, we talk about Bitcoin and Ethereum, and we talk about like the amount of manipulation that was in 2015, and they're a lot more transparent as to what they're doing now. So I'm trying to stay in the Web3 gaming space because I feel like that's too much work for them. So, you know, I'm trying to stay away from the people that are making the tons of money, and to the point where, you know, maybe it's too much, a little bit too much work for them, and then working in that space. So that's kind of my aspect. That's kind of my 2 cents in that aspect. Um, so when they're coming into a gambling space, I definitely want to project myself ahead of that space to, you know, as in 2008 we had the crash and Bitcoin came out. I'm trying to stay ahead of the game. I don't know if that's the right way or the wrong way, but that's just kind of my perspective.
Yeah. It, there's, if somebody tells you they have it all figured out, don't trust them. They don't have it all figured out. Nobody ever has it
No,
all figured out.
nobody does. We're just all running around with our pants down, trying to get to the next thing and seeing if it's gonna work.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So now, let's see here. I should probably, let's see here. Yeah, let's talk really quickly. Let me share screen. So we got to definitely want to talk about these things really quickly here. We do have the Upland East Coast meetup, and that is actually next weekend, September 12th through 14th in Philadelphia, hosted by Upland Terra and Das Mustang. So, Discord's up and running. Go check that out. If you can make that, that is awesome. Next item is, if you can't make that one, there is the Midwest meetup. You got the Midwest meetup hosted by myself and TM in Cleveland, October 17th through 19th. It's actually going to be primarily on the 18th. Got the Discord up and running yesterday. I'll be adding more stuff over the weekend. A lot of people I've talked to, from the Ohio area, Western Pennsylvania, Michigan, Kentucky. So we do have some people there, and I know some other people are looking to travel in for that. So primary stuff's going to be on the 18th, a little something in the evening on the 17th. The 19th is for people to travel home, and the Browns do play the Dolphins at 1 p.m. on the 19th. So if you want to catch an NFL game, you'll be able to buy cheap tickets because they're going to be and whatever by October 19th. So you can get cheap tickets and watch a game, and maybe Tyreek Hill is done having babies and is good on the football field again. I don't know, but the opportunity is there. But while we're there in Cleveland, we'll be going to ultra rare and rare properties in Cleveland, and we'll have a good time. It's going to be laid back. It's going to be chill. We're going to be in a consolidated, like, close area, and it's just more about hanging out with fellow Uplanders, talking about Uplanders. If you've never been to Vegas, these meetups are awesome. You finally put faces to in-game names. A lot of business deals are made out of it in Upland in these meetups. So definitely, if you get a chance, come to the Midwest meetup in October. Now, if you can't make that because you live on the West Coast, don't worry. We have something for you too. Shacklin and Mesme have the West Coast meetup in November. So we got September, October, and November. There's something going on for Upland, which I think is super awesome. Theirs is going on Friday, November 7th and Saturday, November 8th. They're at a brewery and they're doing a tour of Alcatraz, which is optional. They have their Discord set up. Go ahead and scan that QR code. As I said, on the Midwest meetup, the QR code takes you to our Discord. Yes, Shaq, you didn't even let me get there. Yes, and Dirk is coming. Dirk is coming.
I was waiting for that setup. I was waiting for it. That's why I had my hand up.
I was getting there. I was building up to Dirk is coming to the West Coast. So yes, Dirk will be at the West Coast meetup too. So co-founder of Upland. So meetups are fun. I think it's super, super awesome that 3 months in a row we're going to have meetups across the country from the East Coast to the West Coast. but you do there. Did I lose you, Lightning? Looks like I might have lost him for a second. Well, if you can walk on water, Swarley, you'll be okay.
Yeah, if you're only walking distance, what's going on here? Where's the?
I lost you for a minute there. But yeah, as I said before I lost you, I think it's super cool that we have 3 Upland meetups in 3 different months going from the East Coast to the West Coast. I think you can't even hear me. All right. Once Lightning Leg figures it out. Oh, he disappeared. He'll be back. I don't know if I trust a ferry boat to. All right. Is that better there, Lightning? You good? Hey, Lightning. I don't know what you did or what you pressed there, Lightning, but it's all right. I'll be here and you'll chill there. All right. While we're trying to figure that out, I'll go ahead and get the wheel of names. We did have 1 new entry. We'll give some UpX away here. This time we're going to go not in order. We're going to go with 25,000 UpX.
Well, here we go.
All right, you're back. Man, Fabs.
He always wins on my stream too. My goodness.
No, that's the first time he hit
on here
25K. No, he's won each week. And I guess I should have let in with why we're spinning this wheel and giving prizes away. I got ahead of myself. I was like, oh, Lightning Legs hung up, so I'll just do this. So 2675 Geary Boulevard in San Francisco. I have this mega complex being built here, and everybody that stakes Spark on it, you get a entry onto the wheel. I think this week I'm changing it up to you need 1,000 Sparklet on the properties for 1 full entry. I'll figure out half entries from there because some people are staking thousands of Sparklet, but I don't want to have like a bajillion things on this wheel. So I'm lazy. I'm upping the ante. So because then you'll be mad that, you know, somebody that has 3,000 or 5,000 Sparklet is winning everything because I'm giving away a handful of prizes. But I'm trying to reward the people staking, but also, you know, this is week number 3 of staking. So you guys are continuously earning some UpX. So the ones that are kind of lower, chip in a little more is all I'm saying. But yes. And if you want in to win some UpX, go ahead to 2675 Gary Boulevard and stake some UpX. Keep it there all week, and you will be in next week's drawings. And we're getting so close to being under 30 days to get that high school built. So I'm excited for that. All right, back to the wheel. I'll do a couple more, and then we'll keep talking, and then we'll come back to more wheel. All right. What do we have here? Oh,
I am Redbeard.
12.5. Redbeard gets 12,500 UpX.
That name is ingrained in my head because he got like what 950,000 UpX for 1 treasure hunt.
Wait, what?
Yeah, he got almost 1 million in 1 treasure hunt.
Holy crap, that's amazing.
Yeah, you know, I only know this because I was looking at it, and it was actually an exclusive treasure hunt, and he got like almost 1 million.
Wow, that's insane.
That was maybe like 2 years ago.
Okay.
But yeah, it was flipping phenomenal. So I'll always remember his name. So congrats, I am Redbeard.
This one's 5K. Ka-chow.
Ka-chow.
All right. And then this one we'll do for another 12.5K. Unpronounceable name.
Well, you don't expect us to say that, do you?
Uh, the first time they won, I was like, I don't even know how to say it. And then they messaged me and said that was a point. Their name wasn't supposed to be pronounceable.
You can't.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
7.5. Congrats, Bets. All right. All right. We'll get back to that in a bit. We still have more to give away. As you can see, names are on the wheel. Everybody's a winner for staking on the super property. Some Web3 gaming news and that I think are worth paying attention to, whether you're a casual gamer or Web3 curious. Ubisoft is going Web3 with Might and Magic Fates TCG. It's not a random indie outfit. It's Ubisoft testing the waters with a pre-sale that just went live. 90 different card packs, exclusive avatars, even VIP status you can actually own and trade. Sounds cool on paper, and it's everything people said NFTs were supposed to be, digital items with real ownership. But the flip side, it's still a pre-sale hype. We don't know if the game itself will actually be good or turn into another buy the shiny thing, forget the gameplay situation. Gamers will bounce hard. So what we'll watch is the rollout, and the STEM page says 2026, but mobile hints at December of 2025 this year. If that game feels like an actual TCG and not just an NFT cash grab, this could be a real crossover moment. Ubisoft is a huge brand name in the gaming industry.
I played Watch Dogs. That's Ubisoft as well. So, it's crazy to see that Ubisoft is jumping into the space, and we definitely see Web3 games mixing with Web2 games. So, we have Mavia Heroes. We have Mavia Heroes, and it's crazy to see that the Web2 and Web3 are starting to integrate with each other. And I'm looking up at it now, and then I'm definitely interested in what's going on.
Yeah, and more of them are taking the Upland path of making things mobile too. So I didn't see if this one was mobile or not, but just in the general aspect of Web3 gaming and Web2 gaming, they know that mobile is the way to go, and they know
It
that
is.
the easy integration of a wallet like Upland does it. You don't even know, you don't have to set up your MetaMask or any other wallet to play the game. That you need the simple onboarding and then an easy way once people need to do the crypto side of it. So now, second story is Daria just hit 1 million players. And all it really is a rhythm and dance game where you connect a Bluetooth dance pad and go full DDR in your living room. It blends AI characters, music, some Web3 flavor, but they got 1 million users. Is it a legit million users, or is it just a novelty, or it's people that signed up and left? So we don't know if the players are going to vanish as quick as a Fortnite squad after a bad drop. But what we do know is it's play to earn, play for fun, and maybe we just add tokens later. So it's something to keep an eye on the retention and see the user growth there. I'll be interested to see where that goes.
Yeah. So we jump into the aspect of play to earn as well, and it's crazy to see that. I feel that when we're jumping into these spaces, that we got to take a step back and see what they're trying to build for the economy. We see the community, and we see a lot of the our work that's being grown, you know in the first couple steps. But how is the community being built of you know
Yeah.
in the middle part, or the last part. So um this is where Upland is, a little bit different, because I feel like we're in the last aspect of being built in terms of community, because you know um there's a lot of projects that are just crashing because we don't have that community. And I'm looking at it, I'm trying to jump in, and I don't see a lot of what's being built. So this is where we try to, bridge what's trying to being built, and what's being built, and what's being actually built in terms of the Web3 projects. And you know you know where is it,
Yeah. Yeah. Eh, and the third game I wanted to talk about is The Legend of Ymir is coming. It's from We Made, and it's the folks behind Legend of Mir and Mir 4. They're building a full Unreal Engine 5 MMO with the Norse theme and token economy strapped in. So pre-registration just opened up worldwide, and if you've ever played or been able to play a Korean MMO, you know they don't mess around with the scale. So it's a AAA visual, full blown MMO, and the promise of owning your gear and grinding for tokenized rewards. The bad? We know how token economies can go ugly pretty fast. We know if it's not balanced, the BK comes play to crush noobs, and no one wants to grind in the world. And then you don't have noobs, and then the rich people are like, this sucks. So we will watch how the launch goes later this year, the server stability, the community size, how they build the community, how they engage with the community, how the tokens add to the fun or detract from the fun, or is it just another play to earn? Early people in are the winners, and the new people in are the bag holders.
Well, we definitely see the people that it's, you play to earn. But if 6 months, 7 months down the road they're building and they're creating new players, it's a totally different aspect. But when we're jumping in and it's 9 months down the road and everything's being crashed, it's a totally different aspect. So it's crazy to think so much potential is based on marketing and advertising. And you know I feel like a lot of Web3 games are out here and they're building something special, but they just can't grab that initial attention.
Yeah,
And it's sad to see.
absolutely. Uh, but is it because of the attention span of the youth because they're learning to grow up on shorts? Is it just are they trying to scale too fast? Is it a capital issue? It's just very intriguing to fully understand and wrap your head around what's going on because I know Upland has a older, it's predominantly older people in their 30s, 40s, and 50s playing the game, and a lot of these gamers are still trying to capture the kids that are playing Fortnite and Roblox, and they're trying to figure that out. Um, yeah, don't know.
So yeah, so the when I talk about like building with Fortnite in a lot of those areas, it's you know uh, it's it's slow attention. So it's you can see a little bit of it, but you know we're looking to build with people that are looking to build. And it's hard to say because you know it's hard to compete with games that are Call of Duty. It's hard to compete with games that are um Grand Theft Auto. We can't do that. And
Right.
we all know that. So um we definitely have to create the earning aspect with a lot of the people here. And it's just about the aspect of what can you earn. Because when it comes to Web 2 and Web 3, we see that with Mavia here the heroes of a lot of those gaming spaces. And when they have a Web3 concept, it's very hard to compete with the Web2 concept. So we almost have to break free of the Web3 concept and just focus on the entertainment concept. And I do feel that Upland has got a lot of a lot of the upscale of people of what we're trying to build, because we're trying to build something that people can come to in the next 2-3 years and build something, or in
Yeah.
yeah. So um
Yeah.
it
No, go ahead.
no it, it's hard to compare with something that has had millions of dollars put into, and something that has a couple 100,000 put into, and compare that to what's supposed to be coming out uh, you know of the ending of what's supposed to be come out of. So you know it's it's just about, let's just take a step back and look at what Web3 is building, because we're not going to let's we're not going to compare with a Grand Theft Auto. We're not going to compare with a AAA game. We're not going to compare with something that's been built over the last 20 years.
Right.
We can't do that.
You got to start, it's you got to start at the bottom. It's
Yeah.
not to get on too touchy of a subject, but it's interesting with the issues with the WNBA, with the players saying that they want their fair share of the earnings, and they've been subsidized by the NBA, and they actually have lost money a lot of the years. But if you look at the NBA and how they started, their players had to have jobs after the season. And the NFL players at that time, back in the 40s, 50s, had to have jobs in the season. So, but it's building a brand, it's building a product. It's not you're not going to go to a unicorn right now. There's no unicorns in Web3 where you're going to create a game, launch it, and become $1 billion company, within a couple of years. It's good. The whole community has to grow. It's building it. It has to transfer from you know play to earn and attracting people with money to building brand loyalty and community around your game.
Exactly. I was right in that little area of like not making money, but still having a skill set. So it was just about, well, what can you earn for the company? And if you're not earning at least what 20-25% of what the company can earn, it's just not going to be viable. And at this point, when we jump into Web3 gaming spaces, we got to think about service and what we can offer to the community, as well as what we can offer to people that are building these spaces as well. Because you know we you know as much as we hate to say, they are companies, and they got to
Keep the
pay
lights
their
on.
employees. Yeah, they got to pay their employees, they got to keep the lights on and whatnot. And to be honest with you, we got companies like Upland, we got companies like my neighbor Alice that have to pay their employees, and they are, doing it with a lot of what the Web3 gamers are putting into. But at the end, we are all equal. We
Oh,
are
yeah.
we do all get the information at the same time. So this is where I try to you know you know talk to people about, like, if you're in a stock market, you don't get the information at the same time as the professionals do. At least if you're in a Web3 game, you get the information at the same time as everybody else does.
Yeah.
You got the same opportunity that everybody else does. So this is what I say, that you know you may complain, but you got the same opportunity as anybody else to make it. At least the creators at least the people that are creating the opportunity for you to jump into these Web3 games are making a little bit, I will say just a little bit of what you're making, jump into these, and you can jump into these. So that's what I got to say.
Yeah.
Everybody's given the information at the same time.
Oh yeah. And how do you utilize the information, and how do you leverage that information?
Exactly.
Now, new information that you can't see and leverage right now in the world of Upland is the total residence count. They released that there's 203,691 residents currently living across Upland. So it's based on a percentage of the total number of living units built so far. Um, have you had a time to digest the whole residence, the residents scoring, and how they're doing it?
Yeah, it's got me super excited because it's definitely changed a lot of my strategy in what I'm building in Upland.
Yeah.
So,
Now, I,
yep.
I know it makes me mad because for years on the show, when you had, the different Spark rental places that were out there, and Sparklet was so cheap, I was like, build away. Never took advantage of it. And now I'm like playing catch up because I didn't take advantage. And now there's no exchanges that are easy, trustworthy, built in their third party right now that are active. Um, that were as easy as the Spark Exchange to do that. And of course, everybody's trying to build these service structures now. So Sparkless wouldn't even be as cheap as it was on the exchange, why it was sitting very low. So I didn't take my own advice that I was giving people. Now, they did break down that the living and service units, it takes many factors into account, and some have stronger influences where residents choose to live. And the parameters measure both the quantity and quality of development in your neighborhood and how well it supports resident population. My biggest question that I have there is, some of these neighborhoods, the properties are all small. You can't get a lot of stuff on. So are these service units, they need to be outside because, hey, I can't afford to live in this neighborhood, but I can live on the edge of the next neighborhood and be there in a couple of minutes. So does it have influence on neighboring neighborhoods to help raise that up? Because some neighborhoods don't have the big properties. You might only have little small stuff. I'm very intrigued to see how this dynamic and how that algorithm plays out there.
Here's what my strategy is. I don't know if it's anybody else's, but it's the strategy of I'm hoping I'm hoping in the next couple of months or 6 months to a year that they actually have the amalgamation of properties. And that's what I'm hoping for when I'm building these structures as well. So, I'm definitely hoping for that mechanic to come in, because I do feel that a lot of these structures that are coming out will be able to be beneficial for a lot of the nodes that are out there.
Yeah. And, and some of and that's the interesting thing with things like elementary schools and eh, high schools, and even the fire department. A fire department covers a couple of different neighborhoods inside the city. So
You know?
I I still think of Sim City. Are you going to have the circle around the property that shows the expanded coverage of it, and will that help influence other neighborhoods? That's the thing I just keep wondering about.
Yeah, it's definitely an area where they definitely have to look at, because many players like me and many other big players are looking at that aspect as, um, hey, if you can start amalgamating properties, then we can start building bigger service structures, and make it more important in terms of the uppies structure.
Yeah.
So
Now, I did think when they started announcing the neighborhood collections, once it got into being able to upgrade the level of your neighborhood collection, it was really going to make people buckle down and pick their home address, and really start dividing. Because as the first year went on, everybody was helping everybody else out to win this month. Hey, come help my neighborhood. I'll help your neighborhood. A lot of back scratching going on there to help it out. But it never transpired as the upgraded collections were going on with the neighborhoods. But here, with the resident score parameters, part of the algorithm has the active home addresses. So the number of home addresses of users who have been recently active. So not only is it an active player in the neighborhood but it's who's got the home address there. I thought that's really going to start driving people having to lay down stakes of where they want their home to be in Upland.
It definitely makes me think of, we have many players that are in many different neighborhoods in Upland, and it makes me think of, like, if you change for a month or two, how will that affect it?
Yeah. Yep. And then the other thing I thought was interesting was the number of transportation units placed per living unit. So it's vehicles but the vehicles on inventory lots will not count. So if you got a showroom for vehicles, it won't count. So you have to park your vehicles on your properties. And does that lead to more? Do carts count? Because they say carts aren't a form of transportation, but there's a bunch of carts out there. And if if so, does this mean we're having more sales? Because you used to have sales about once a month. There was a stretch where we were having sales of cars once a month, and that went away. So are more coming because is this going to increase the demand for vehicles?
My opinion is that carts shouldn't count for transportation because they are mainly strictly for racing. But transportation, in terms of anything above a cart, should be considered for transportation.
Yeah.
Um, but I personally didn't put anything into the last sale of cars. But if they keep doing it, and if they keep putting out the sale for Sparklet and it keeps selling out, there is a demand. So when you take a step back, there's a demand for what they're doing. There's a demand for cars, or vans or trucks, based on just the mechanic they're implementing. So
Yeah. Oh, I like that idea there, Swarley. It should count towards entertainment because that definitely is some entertainment.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And I did like that they do have the number of ornaments applied to structures per living unit, and it is not, or the decorations. And it's excludes inventory lots and self-manufactured items. So if you got you can't take all your items and dump it into a neighborhood to boost the score. It has to be stuff that you bought from other people or traded with other people.
Yeah, because otherwise I would have done
Right.
it.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean that was a thing when you had the neighborhood stuff going on. You'd have the people who had. I spent hours helping out other neighborhoods by moving map assets in of stuff that I manufactured onto my property. I'd spend hours
Yeah.
upon hours to help boost the score. So they caught on to that trick. You always find the little loopholes, and the game's always nerf once you find the advantage. So I think it's a lot of key calculations. It's going to be interesting how long it takes everyone to crack the code, because we do have some very sharp people in Upland that can figure that stuff out. But I do like, you know, I do like where this is going, but I'm still intrigued. That's still my biggest concern, is that everything's just confined to the borders of that neighborhood, because that's not how it works in the real world. And that puts lots of neighborhoods at a disadvantage. I know people have developed some very small neighborhoods. I know people are developing some very large neighborhoods. I know other neighborhoods like Alamo Square, the first one that ever came up with the concept of having a neighborhood community built around it in Upland, is it's got a lot of OG players that are no longer active. So it's just very intriguing.
What do you think about? Gotta pace myself. What do you think about like a lot of the so the aspect of has come from a lot of smaller neighborhoods. Now they're a lot of larger neighborhoods because of that differential aspect of the um, service structures. What do you think about that? How is the
That's one of my concerns. I could see the smaller neighborhoods dying off just because you want to
yeah.
migrate to a larger neighborhood that has the ability to that has the large properties that fits the larger service structures. And especially, like the monstrosity I'm building there in San Francisco, I still have room to put more service structures on that property, and that is my plan too. So it's just I think some of the small neighborhoods could die unless you start enacting the radius of influence of the service structures.
So if you were to put a timeline on the let's say amalgamation of properties, what would you say would be the optimal timeline if you were to have somebody that could and combine properties?
I I don't see combining properties as a priority. Because it doesn't happen a lot in real life with properties itself. As much as we want it and think it would be cool to make bigger properties, I just don't see that coming anytime soon. Ooh, and that's a good point there. You have cities that were locked because Upland did the thing where you had if your city was released for greater than 2 years, they locked all the properties now you have people developing areas that have locked properties. So hopefully Upland starts doing something to release those properties to help these neighborhoods develop.
Ah, good point. Good point. I never thought about that.
Right, Wolf? Burning spark for uppies has me terrified. Yeah. Like I, I I've said it before, looking at some of the other games like Sandbox and Decentraland, they have 3 billion tokens and almost all of them are in circulation. They're over, you know, they're over 75% released. Uh and Upland is less than 25% released of Sparklet in itself, and now they're talking about burning stuff and reducing it. And if we're going to grow and you're going to expand and you need it, the service structures take a lot of, and the more people manufacturing it, if you scaled, and I don't know, I'm just worried that at some point in time that upgrading these uppies, it better be I guess it better be a very minimal piece of spark, maybe like a Sparktoshi. So it's like a fraction of one sparklet.
Yeah, so we're given information that we don't fully know yet. So
Right.
once we fully know, we'll be able to, value it at a certain point. So, you know, um, pretty much everything in a lot of the things in Web3 we can value it based on what they're putting out, but we definitely can't value what they're putting out now with uppies.
Where is it? Merge uppies.
Send spark, not burn. Yeah,
No, it's
it gives them the
burn.
ability. It gives them the ability to sell it back in terms of spark.
Depending if it's a straight burn or it's returned to a
Mm.
community pool that then they use to release as rewards. So it just depends on how they word it.
At the end, there's so much supply. Does it even make a difference at this point?
I don't know.
So
It
there's
depends on how large you grow and how much utility's been placed into the game.
yeah.
Because at some point you're going to have a lot of stuff developed and you're going to have a lot of stuff. I don't know. It's just like how far do you want to go into the future?
Yeah, I'm just thinking out loud.
Yeah, me too. I'm just like I hated to speculate in the previous show, but I've been more speculative lately. Where is it? There was it there? I'm trying to find the article now because
Yeah, no worries.
was it this one?
I've never got my spark back. Poof.
Sizzle developer update developer
You
2.
gotta be careful with farmland applications compared to Upland. It's a totally different aspect. So when you're jumping into Upland, you if you put in USD, you kind of know what you're getting out. So it's a little bit different than a game that you're putting time into for sure.
So merging up, he said it will also require Sparklet. They didn't say if it's like a staking of Sparklet or a spending of Sparklet or a burning of Sparklet, because in the white papers they do talk about burning Sparklet also. So once you burn it, it's gone.
Oh, I thought it was kind of replaced into the pool.
Well, that's if you spend it. If you spend it, it will
That's you
probably be
spend it.
replaced in but they can't resell it. They can't reissue it, but they can use
Oh,
it
got you.
in a reward standpoint.
Well, that's still good, but you know, it's still a different aspect of the game that you got to think about when you're putting money in, or you're trying to create value within the game as well. So
I would not destroy even if the neighborhood went ghost and nothing was going on. I would not destroy a building on it. I'd just leave it because sooner or later, hopefully that neighborhood gets some people going. Spending. Okay. There you go. X1 in the house. There we go. So
there
it's
we
spending, not
go.
burning. Confirmed. Yep.
So you're definitely creating value because
Oh yeah.
those spinning of uppies will definitely give you a more powerful uppie. Hey, Keith K. Olson, how's it going? So this is what's got me so excited because we're looking at Web3 gaming as continual building, whereas a lot of Web3 gaming isn't building. So, you know, this is why it's got me so excited. And man, trust me, I've the last couple months I've spent trying to figure out, communities that have a similar aspect and whatnot. But there's definitely not a community like we have, or with my neighbor Alice, or with Upland, because I can't see, I haven't seen anything put out that would tell me different. So
Yeah. Eh, and that's the thing that people forget too is this community was 5 years in the making too.
yep.
And you can't go into a new game expecting this style of community right away. I mean, the the stories I can tell from the beginning days of Upland of the crypto bros coming in just wanting to be able to sell their UpX on the exchange, having that same conversation over the rug pool guy. It was just very interesting, but there was a core group of us that were chatting every day and on Telegram, then on Discord, and it was just like we talked for hours about the potential of Upland with nothing going on other than being able to float over and buy properties. There were no neighborhood lines. There were no, I thought I was buying stuff in the before I knew that you could click on. I don't even think at the time you could click on it at the time and show what collection it was in. It was just kind of speculative that it was like, I think I'm in this area for this collection. And then they added it where you could click on it and it shows you the collection it was part of. But I was still buying stuff looking off of Google Map lines. I'm like, oh, show me. Like, I thought I was buying stuff in the financial district, but I was nowhere close to the financial district that I was buying in. So it's evolved so much. But like the hour spent of just speculating and then keeping people
See,
in the game, it was just, it's been fun.
so but this is the difference between you and me, because you were an OG. You were a legitimate OG. I am not. So I've built my account based on, blood, sweat, and tears, treasure hunting, and trust in a lot of the Upland community. Whereas you kind of like jumped in when it wasn't as much as it was when I jumped in. And,
Right.
this is what I'm thankful for you guys jumping in, because you guys have built it up to the point where it was the point where I felt comfortable jumping in. So, I can't say enough to the OGs, and this is what I say to even Upland Revival that jumped into, um, put money in for the OGs, because I felt comfortable enough to do it myself. And I crazy to think of the journey. So
Yeah. Unfortunately, you won't be able to pay your uppies to feed your totems because totems are going to be done after the next cycle. Finally. And then we get life. And that's the other thing, the service structures. Oh, I was out of town, and usually I buy my service structures on Friday or Saturday morning right before they leave the store. So this is my fault. I missed service structures. I've bought all of them, and I missed number 7. I just got caught up, and I missed buying the service structures for number 7. Like that was my goal. I'm like, I don't know when I'm going to stop this. Maybe when it gets too expensive, but I was going to get all the service structures, and I failed. It only took 7 rounds to get me to tap out, but I'll be buying 8.
I was so worried this morning. I was like, am I gonna forget? And I was like, okay, I gotta jump in. I gotta get them, because I'm gonna forget based on my personality. So I just bought them all this morning, and I was like, okay, let's just go. We're building an Upland, so
Yeah.
you know
I missed 7, so I was sad about it. And the other thing
what
is all
what was
go ahead.
7?
Last week. I forget her. I forget
Oh,
what last week was already.
yeah.
Um, yeah. Now, and that's the other thing, these service structures, if you try to get in on the Sparklet sales on Wednesday, they go quick. They go quick. You got to be in there in the first like hour or two, or it's gone.
Well, this is where it's super exciting for, OGs, and jumping in, people that have built their account for so many years. It's like, at the point where, when the question is, when do I try to transfer that value into Sparklet? So, um, I'm definitely watching closely and figuring out, like, how long did it take yesterday? 4 hours, 5 hours,
I think it was less than that, but yeah.
3 hours.
It,
So
it, it's usually it's usually pretty quick. I because I go on sale noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. Um, and some days I've gone in and they're gone by 2, but it's not going past 4 or 5 p.m. Eastern. And the price of Sparklet on the exchanges has gone up 80% in the last 3 months. It's up to um 2.818 cents right now.
yeah, so that just tells you that, Upland is building something that players are finding substantial, and putting their value in there as well. Um, I wish, you know to be honest with you, no, I did buy at 1.2, 1.4, 1.6, 1.8, at little smaller amounts. But yeah, I definitely wish I would have put in more. But at the same time, you can't dictate the future. So, take that into mind.
I mean, not financial advice, but honestly, with the overall supply of 1 billion Sparklet versus Sandbox and Decentraland's 3 billion, and then along with only 20 under 25% currently being released, which you can see increases. If you want to see more sparklets sold on Wednesdays, go ahead and get your friends to play so you have more active users. So for a period of time, because that will increase the amount Upland will release. But I still see the future valuation of this to be well past what Sandbox and Decentraland are. And it's, boohoo, you missed 1.2, 1.3, 1.4. It's still a steal at 2.8 in my book.
Yeah, no, no, for sure. The value's definitely been built. We're looking into a lot of the Decentraland and Sandbox areas, and it's pretty quiet. You know, this is where we talked about building value and being transparent. And like I said, there's only two projects that I can see that in, and Upland is top notch in terms of being transparent. You won't see um, five messages on Discord with Upland, or you'll see it on Upland, but you won't see it on any other Web3 projects. So, you know, when you're looking at their messages, when you're looking at their news, just realize that maybe other Web3 projects are doing two a week, maybe three a week tops, but Upland is doing five a week at this point. We used to be at maybe three a week tops, but you know, um, super exciting to see where this is going, and we're all along for the ride. So
Oh yeah, I got to give more stuff away. You it's not July, but I feel like giving away some Santa Clauses. I think
nice.
I think that will be the next item on the wheel giveaway. Um, and if you haven't seen the let me zoom out and find it. I got ahead of myself. I got excited about Santa Claus and Christmas in July, but it's not July. It's already September. And I thought about it because my 10-year-old he told my wife how many days there were to Christmas. And my wife's like, whoa, 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 whoa. We haven't even got to fall yet. Let's not get into winter. Let's just let's just enjoy the nice fall weather after this humid summer we had here. Um, yeah. So last week I gave away some pumpkin pipsqueaks, and I gave away some other things. But yeah, let's see here. Where'd you guys go? There we go. Share this screen. If you have not seen the OG Santa, we're going to give 5 OG Santas away. And then after the OG Santa, we'll give away 5 Mrs. Clauses. Those are the next 2 prizes on the wheel. Share this tab. Let's get spinning. And that makes it a lot easier too. Um, Angry gets Santa. So who gets the Mrs. Claus? Being able to just be able to buy the map assets wherever you are, you don't have to travel. It makes it a lot easier. You don't have to use burners anymore. You just reserve it for one UpX and they can find it. Zered gets 5 Mrs. Santas or Mrs. Claus. All right, back to giving away UpX. Let's go with 18,500 UpX. John Fitzwell. And if you don't know why we're giving away this wonderful amount of UpX and map assets, it's because I am building a massive complex at 2675 Gary Boulevard in San Francisco. Go ahead, stake 1,000 Sparklet. You get entered into the drawings and win weekly giveaways here. All right. We're going to go with 7.5 thousand UpX. So 7,500 UpX. Maui. All right. And this one will be for 25,000 UpX. Oh, look at that. Recurrier finally started paying attention to the podcast, staked 5,000 Sparklet, and he wins 25,000 UpX. Congratulations.
That was 25,000 for Recurrier?
Yeah. Like he needs it.
Nice. Awesome.
Like he needs it. All right, let's see here. We got 4 people left. This one we're going to give away. Let's show this one. We are going to give away some gray breakers. I love these creepy little guys. It's always fun to. It looks a lot better on your property, and especially if you buy one of the headstones to put behind it, it looks like it's crawling out of the grave. So it's super cool. Going to give 5 grave breakers away.
My wife would love it.
All right, Wolf Warner wins 5 grave breakers. All right, this one's for 11,500 UpX. Laban, congratulations. All right, now, this one's fun. We're going to give away Death. I love this one. Death watches over me. And it just says, you are next on it. So we'll give 5 of these away. Ratatouille gets 5 Death watches over me. All right, and that leaves Land 7 up to get 5 pumpkin pipsqueaks.
That's Upland Puppet, right?
No, Land up 7. Land grab 23 is Upland
Oh,
Puppet.
right.
Yeah. Yes, very similar. Very similar.
Awesome. I definitely didn't see a lot of that coming out. So, it's great to see that a lot of the people that are coming out are, definitely winning stuff, because I definitely congrats to all the winners. Yeah.
This is week 3, and we got plenty more weeks to come ahead. I give out over 100,000 UpX each week for staking on this property, along with map assets. So this is a great opportunity, especially now knowing that, hey, map assets from other people on your properties are going to enhance your UPI score to get the residents into your neighborhood. So you definitely want to put some Sparklet on here so you can get some free map assets instead of having to go buy it. So definitely check that out. But Lightning Leg, thank you so much for joining me today on such short notice. Did a great job, and thank you for picking up where I left off. I appreciate you helping me out on my shortcomings.
No worries. I wish I could have, I wish I saw it a bit earlier. I know it was a bit late, but but happy to jump in.
Yes. But everybody else, be safe, have fun. We'll see you out there in the metaverse. Until next week.